Okay, you're all here because you want to learn how to become better educators. So I thought we'd start right with the basics. The basics of any teaching session you deliver is something called lesson planning. And if you do this right, almost always, you will probably succeed in delivering what you started thinking you would be able to deliver. So think about it as if you were going to make a road trip. Some people would just put the postcode into a sat-nav and get on with it. Other people might want to plan a little bit more in terms of stops on the way, where can I refuel the car, does the dog need a walk, and so on. And so it might be a little bit more detailed. And lesson planning is exactly like that. Very experienced educators might just have a little checklist, even if it's only in their head. And others might have more structured plans with activities and the time for each of those things listed really clearly so that they know exactly how they will fit it all into their sessions. Because you remember all the sessions where people ran over time and didn't finish what they said they were going to finish. That usually happens because either they didn't plan appropriately, or they ran over time because there was too much being crammed in, or something untoward happened that delayed the lesson. So I think it's a good way to actually plan your lesson well so that you know exactly what's going to happen when. So in other words, it's just a blueprint. Lesson planning is just a blueprint for your teaching session. You know what the students are going to learn, how they're going to learn it, and how you will evaluate whether they actually learned what you think they learned. So there are 5 basic steps, and the first step is the learning outcomes. Students need to know what they will be able to do better at the end of your teaching session. So the learning outcome is simply giving them an idea of what they will be able to do. For example, if you say something like define a particular topic or list 5 structures, that's just testing recall. And this is the very basic level of the pyramid of Bloom's taxonomy that we use to write learning outcomes. Bloom's taxonomy has several categories, and each of them has to be mastered to progress to the next category. So for example, just acquisition of knowledge progresses to understanding of the subject, and then you're able to apply the subject, and even then maybe create something new based on what you've learned. So the students going through all these stages, and your learning outcomes are designed so that you know what level you're testing. Step 2 then, what's the method you're going to use for your teaching? And that can depend on several different things. The topic you're teaching, your expertise in that topic, number of individuals in the class, is it a 300-person lecture, or is it a small group teaching of 5 students, or maybe 30 students in a room? The methods you select will depend on how big the class is. You will also need to know a little bit about what level they are at so that you pitch your teaching appropriately. So something about their past learning, or if you know what they've studied before this in relation to your topic, then it's a little bit easier to link it to their past learning, and that makes more sense to learners. You also need to know a little bit about what resources you will need in the session. So is there a projector, for example? Are you going to use PowerPoint slides? Do you need any models to pass around? Stuff like that. Or if you're going to use audience response systems to engage the students in activities, then you might want to think about everything you need to have for your session to run smoothly. Going on to stage 3, it's all about the learners. So assessing their knowledge before your session and a little bit after the session, so you know whether you made any difference at all. Step 4 then is about resources. And this is not just the resources you need in terms of the audience response systems, it's everything. It's the whole classroom, what's available, what's the time available for each of the things you want to do in the class. Do you need to prepare handouts in advance? Things like that, stuff that you can sort of organize in advance. And the final step is the evaluation. This has 2 components. One is evaluating the students and their learning. As I said to you before, if you want to make a difference, you need to know whether they learned anything as a result of your actual teaching session. So that's about the learners. But equally, there's a responsibility on us as educators to reflect on how it went for us. Did it go to plan? Or did something untoward happen? Or did you get delayed because you thought an activity would take 5 minutes, but it took 15? And so you need to think about it before you deliver the next teaching session so that you can tweak and make adjustments. So remember that most educators learn with experience. They're not born good educators. Everybody learns, and we keep learning as we go on. So I think it's something that you will all have to take on board, and hopefully by planning properly, your sessions will all go to plan. So here's a recap of the 5 steps: the learning outcomes. Step 2 is the method of teaching. Step 3 is the learners and how you assess them. Step 4 is the resources you need. And step 5, the evaluation. Did it make any difference to the learners? How did it go for you as an educator?